Yes, yes, definitely. We can
Yes,
start.
we can start now.
Okay.
Yes.
So just a minute. Anand, Amit sir is there. Yes. Okay. So good evening, everyone, and welcome you all. I am CMA Malhar Dilwani, Chairman of Ahmedabad Chapter. On behalf of Ahmedabad, Baroda, and Nashik Gujar Chapter of Cost Accountants, I welcome you all to the CEP on Inventory Management. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Chairman of Baroda Chapter CMA Karthik Vasauda, Chairman of Nasik Chapter CMA Swapnil Kharade, CMA Ashish B. Bhavsa, Region Council Member of WRC, CMA Mitesh B. Prajapati, Secretary of Ahmedabad Chapter, CMA Mihir Vyas, Vice Chairman of Baroda Chapter, CMA Bhushan, immediate past Chairman of Nasik Chapter, and other Managing Committee member colleagues of Ahmedabad, Baroda, and Nasik Chapter. I welcome you all, business members, and last but not least, our today's speaker, CMA Amit sir. I welcome you all. As per the routine practices, CMA members are requested to mention your name, membership number, and email ID to the chat box. CEP will be granted based on attendance of the full session. Now I request CMA Bhushan to take this session ahead and request you to give brief introduction of today's speaker. Over to you, Bhushan ji.
Thank you so much, Mallar. Good evening, colleagues. I Seme Bhushan Bagere, member of Managing Committee of Nasik Chapter. I would like to welcome all of you to the webinar on most important topic in current economic scenario, that is inventory management. As a cost accountant, we are more concerned about maintaining adequate level of inventories, and same is always a challenge for any of the business. Inventory management becomes most important function that determines the health of supply chain and ultimately the health of business. I'm super excited to introduce our honorable speaker, former president of ICMAI, CMA Amit Apte sir. Let me brief about him. Sir was president of ICMA for the year 2018-19. He was Central Council member of ICMAI for 11 to 19. He was also chairman of WRC for 10-11. Sir is having 25 years of rich experience, including overseas exposure, uh, costing, finance, and ERP system uh, private limited and level info private limited. He is also partner at uh, Joshi Apte and Associates, a firm of cost accountants. Amit sir is a member of independent evaluation committee constituted by IBA under RBI's framework for revitalizing distressed assets in the economy. He is also member of RBI committee on cost of government banking and received special acknowledgement for his efforts and contribution. Amit sir is also practicing as a registered valuer. He was rank holder in semi-final examination. Sir is also qualified company secretary. He also did the topper in Pune University in direct taxation law. Apart from profession, he is adventurous. He has done independent trek to the several Himalayan destinations, including Mount Everest base camp. He also did state level representation and meritorious performance at table tennis tournaments. Moreover, he will guide us on insights of inventory management. So I request all of you to join me. Welcome CMA Amitabh sir. Please give a round of applause. Now I request Amit sir to guide us on today's topic. Handed over to you, Amit sir.
Thank you, Bhushan. Let me share the screen and then I will start the deliberations. And before I start, Ahmed Kapadia ji, you had raised your hand. Did you want to ask anything? or you can put it in the chat box if at all there are any questions. Normally, I will take it at the end of the session. You are able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we can see this.
And you are able to see only a single page, no? Not the.
Yes, only single
Okay.
page.
Yes, sir, proper presentation.
Okay. So, first of all, let me thank Bhushan. He has been interacting with me on behalf of Nasik chapter to have this interactive session with all of you. I must also thank the chairman of Nasik chapter, Swapnil Kharade, who is present here. Mallar Dalwadi, the chairman of Ahmedabad chapter, and Karthik Vasavda, the chairman of Baroda chapter. So this is going to be a joint session by Nasik Ozar chapter, Ahmedabad chapter, and Baroda chapter. I can also see the past chairman of Baroda chapter, Mihir, amongst the attendees. And I also am happy that we have touched the magic figure of 100 participants. I keep on saying this in each of my online deliberations, that I'm more happy to conduct the online deliberations on one single ground, that 100% of the times any online program is conducted, it always starts right on the time that has been allotted, which is a very, very good sign. Unfortunately, when physical programs are conducted, there are several reasons why things cannot start right on time. But that has been done away with the online CEPs and various programs. It's not only about our institute. This observation is true as far as any organization is concerned. So I'm glad that because of COVID, the entire community has understood the value of time. And so what I would like to do is, let us start this session with an interactive mode, because the topic of today's session is the purpose, or rather the inventory management. So I will start with a question as to what is the purpose of inventory. You can just type it out in the chat box. Why is inventory needed at all? Any general thoughts about that?
Sir, for production.
So production of goods, for creation of finished goods, to know about cost, okay. Valuation purpose, working capital, WIP, okay. So WIP is a type of inventory, but okay.
Purpose of continuous production.
Continuous production, yes. Insurance spares is once again a type of inventory, I would say. Business, yes. Okay.
Sir, better rate.
Sorry, Mir?
Sir, negotiate better rate.
Negotiate better rates. To produce finished goods and finally for making sales, okay. Understand different valuation methods and its cost impact on business value operations, okay. So I think Vikas has typed what he wants out of this session. Working capital starts with inventory, fine, but then why is inventory needed at all? Can you not operate without inventory? Okay, so many inputs have been received. So if you ask me, there are 5 specific reasons why inventory is required. Number 1 reason is obviously to maintain independence of operations. So typically in a manufacturing industry, if you mix the input material and the actual manufacturing operations, then there could be chaos. So the manufacturing operations, or in case of retail or e-commerce, the sales operations normally have to be independent of the material and the material control, and that is why any company maintains its own inventory levels depending upon the requirement of its products. Then you come to the variation in the production demand. Like typically what happens is the company manufactures various types of products, and as the demand varies for individual products, naturally the manufacturing levels will vary, and if there is not enough inventory maintained for some other product which now has some more demand, then there will be challenges in the continuity of the production. Exactly the same reason, because of the inventory, there is a flexibility in the production scheduling, and shifting from one product to another is much convenient because there is a backup inventory available for the other product as well. Also, there is a safeguard which is provided by the inventory due to a lot of variations in the raw material delivery time. And I think Mihir mentioned about this point, that economic purchase order size is one reason why inventory has, so that you can order at a higher quantity, keep it in inventory. But since you ordered the higher quantity, you get a reasonable rate or a reduced rate because of higher quantities. If you ask me the definition of inventory, or rather the purpose of inventory management, simplistically speaking, all materials that are available as inventory is, I would say, organizations' money in transit. So inventory is as important as cash, because what is going to happen is when you place an order, you receive the material. Even though that material is in physical form, you are going to pay against that material, and there is going to be a cash outflow. So naturally, once there is a cash outflow, unless the material that has been received is either converted to finished products and sold to the market, you are not going to get the material as well as the finished products converted into cash. So inventory is as good as the organization's money in transit, and the faster the organization is able to convert this money, or rather this inventory into money, the better performance of that organization is definitely going to be. So the overall objective of an effective inventory management is to minimize the money in transit and to reduce the overall wastages. That we can term as the overall objective of the inventory management. So in a nutshell, the purpose of inventory management is to have the right stock at the right levels, at the right place, at the right time, and of course at the right cost. So each of these wordings are very carefully picked up, that you have to have the right stock. I will give you a real life example. I was doing a techno-economic viability study for an industry which was manufacturing bearings, and they had stock worth crores of rupees in their as a raw material, and they had approached the bankers to get additional loan because now they had the orders and they wanted to convert that stock into finished product and sell it against that order. Now, after inspecting that stock, what we observed was that those of you who understand what a bearing is, the bearing will always have an inner ring and an outer ring. And unless there is an inner ring as well as an outer ring, it is not possible to manufacture the end product, that is the bearing. So our observation was the raw material which was lying in the stores was majorly either only inner rings or only the outer rings. And naturally, the company had to purchase some additional inventory to match the inner and outer for individual products in order to make the end product. And unless they had the additional funds for that, it was not going to be possible for them to manufacture, even if the bank was ready to provide them soft loan for conversion of the raw material into the end product. So that loan was not going to be enough. So we highlighted this in the TEV study, and based on the customers and the orders already in hand, in fact, bank agreed to give a higher loan to them, and only then they were able to purchase the right stock so that they can make the end product. Once again, at the right levels and at the right place. So especially in multi-center manufacturing facilities, having the right level of stock as well as the right location where the material has reached is of prime importance. And so is the right time, because if the material reaches late, naturally the production is going to be hampered. And cost is something that we as cost accountants is the closest to our heart. And the entire inventory management finally is going to boil down to the cost, because if the cost is not right, naturally the overall production costs are going to be higher, and the company will no longer be competitive as far as their end product is concerned. Now, coming to the various types of inventories, we basically are aware of certain typical types of industries because we as cost accountants have been tuned to address to the manufacturing sector. So our focus has always been on the manufacturing sector all these years. In fact, till 2012, the name of the institute was Institute of Cost and Works Accountants of India. And the reason being our focus was on the works. And unfortunately, that focus has remained even today for most of the cost accountants. And naturally, the raw material and the components are the two specific industry inputs which we always focus on. The third one is naturally the work in progress. So when the raw materials and the components are issued for production, it gets converted into work in progress. And after work in progress comes the finished goods stage. So these are typically the four major components of any inventory cycle. But there is one more component, especially in the manufacturing sector, which is also equally important and which I feel is neglected by many of the companies as well as cost accountants, and that is the MRO, that is the maintenance, repairs and operation goods, which are also to be maintained in the stock. And in fact, especially after the ERP systems have come in, a lot of focus and emphasis has now been given on the MRO goods and the inventory levels of various replacement components of critical machines, their repairing schedules and all have now started being maintained in the ERP. But this particular segment of the overall inventory is normally the last one that is looked at in majority of the industry. Now, typically there are different types of industries where inventory and inventory management is necessary. The first one, as I already said, is the manufacturing industry, which has always been very close to our heart. The typical inventory cycles of the manufacturing industry is something that we are all aware of. Similar to the manufacturing industry, another industry which is also in the focus these days is the projects industry, especially with the new capex projects coming across the country. The project industry and the overall inventory management for specific projects is definitely the focus point these days. Naturally, because the main difference between a manufacturing industry and a project industry is that in case of a manufacturing industry, there are plants at specific locations. The entire inventory in the form of raw material and components is received at the manufacturing facility, and the end product is manufactured over there, and then the finished goods are supplied across the globe wherever the customers are. In case of project industry, however, the inventory has to be built at specific project locations. So wherever the project is being installed, the inventory has to be built over there. The entire project has to be executed not at a single location, but for example, if it's a road construction, if it's a 100-kilometer road, naturally the inventory will be required across the 100-kilometer stretch of that road. And that becomes an additional challenge, especially in case of project industry. Another aspect also remains is that once the project is completed, the leftover material has to be shifted to the nearest available different project, or it has to be brought back to the centralized location, and that adds to the logistic cost of the project as well. Then there are logistic companies which have their own warehouses, and many companies manufacture their goods and hand it over to these logistic companies for further deliveries. And the inventory management is an exercise in itself. In fact, inventory management is the prime exercise that is done by all these logistic companies. And so is the case in case of wholesalers, retailers, typically the brick and mortar stores. Of course, we have all seen that in the last few years, it is the e-commerce that is making rounds with the advent of Flipkart, Myntra, Amazon. E-commerce is the in thing these days, and you might have observed that the way e-commerce operates, their entire business model is focused on the inventory. So the moment you order anything on say Flipkart, within 48 hours, 72 hours, the item is delivered to your residence. And the only reason why they are able to do it is that they exactly know where the item has been ordered, where it is to be delivered, and which is the nearest point where that item is available. It can be either in the own warehouses of these e-commerce companies, or there are various retailers or wholesalers who are affiliated to the e-commerce companies who supply that item to our doorstep. And lastly, the service industry is also of importance for the simple reason that when we talk about service industry, it's not only about IT industry. You look at the hospitals, look at the kind of inventory that has to be maintained and managed on a continuous basis in hospitals. recently in the COVID scenario, we have seen the kind of pressure that was built because of shortage of oxygen and various medicines across India. And naturally, hospitals has been the focus of the overall inventory management over the last few years. Especially after COVID period, it has come to the limelight. Otherwise, the inventory management has always been of prime focus in hospitals. Look at the power sector. So India is now a power surplus country, but typically across India, there are challenges as far as the overall grid management is concerned. And the entire system is now online, wherein through the centralized offices, the managers of the power generation and the power distribution companies are able to track where there is a shortage and then divert the grid accordingly, so that the entire country gets continuous power supply on a continuous basis. Okay, so looking at these various industries, now can you tell me which is inventory portal with the largest user touch points, I would say. You can type it out in the chat box. So we are all very familiar with Flipkart, we are very familiar with Amazon. But if you ask me, there is a portal which is being used for inventory management, and which has a direct impact on almost the entire population of the country. So any guesses which portal is that? No guess. Amul, okay. So Amul is a company which manufactures several milk products. And DMart, yes, but DMart is a kind of a brick and mortar store. So yes, even though it does find a place in the lives of most of us, still I would say ki in a population of 135 crore, I'm sure less than 30 crore are actually visiting DMart. Same is the case with Amazon. FCI, yes, but it does not have a direct impact on any one of us. I mean, our interaction with FCI, direct interaction, I mean to say, is not that yes, fuel and power centers, yes. So petrol pumps is what Swapnil is saying. So definitely petrol pumps are very important, and we do have a direct touch point at the petrol pumps, but electricity, yes. Okay, so medicine, fine. So all these examples are agreed, like the petrol pumps, medicines, but then our touch points, even though more than 100 crore population would be having direct touch point with the petrol pumps, with the electricity, of course, the medicines. E-way bill portal, yes, but only those who are wanting to send material require the e-way bill portal. You are all missing out one portal which is been the center stage over the last several months, and that is our own CoWIN. So if you look at the overall impact it is having on our lives, the entire vaccination program is being controlled by this portal today. and across the country, the various centers which are delivering the vaccinations, the stock which is available at each of the centers, the supply which is happening from three major players, like three vaccines which are coming in on a day-to-day basis from the Covaxin, the Covishield, and Sputnik, which are the major vaccines which are being consumed today. So center-wise stocks which are available are continuously being monitored by this app. And in fact, this screenshot was taken at around 11 o'clock today morning, and which also discloses about 30 lakh vaccines which were done till 11 o'clock in the morning. And just before our session at around 5:30 today, I tried to look at the change in this quantity, and I was rather amazed that the quantity has crossed 2 crores today. So more than 2 crore vaccinations have taken place within today. And then after looking at the various websites and news portals, I came to know that since it is the birthday of our Honorable Prime Minister, the government has taken special efforts to create a record about the maximum number of vaccinations that have been conducted today. And the numbers have crossed more than 2 crores at around 5:30. Just to summarize, so Swapnil is saying it's almost 2.2 crores now. So this is this website which has been developed is nothing but overall inventory management tool and the product delivery tool. And within the last few months, it has touched the lives of majority of the Indians. We have already crossed 75 crore vaccinations. Now I come to the various inventory management techniques. And if you ask me, various different kind of companies adopt various different types of inventory management techniques. One of the techniques which is prevalent, especially in the petroleum or coal supply or typical commodity kind of industry, is the bulk shipments. So this method typically banks on the notion that it is almost always cheaper to purchase and ship goods in bulk, which is true. So bulk shipping is one of the predominant techniques in the industry, which can be applied for goods with typically higher customer demand. And this method is also being adopted by the likes of the e-commerce companies, because they naturally have high volumes and they are able to cater to the consumers at a very, very substantially low rates, primarily because they are able to order in bulk. The downside to bulk shipping, of course, is that you need to invest a lot of money in the warehousing and storing that inventory, and also getting the orders right. So if you are not able to estimate the offtake of those items are going to lie down in your warehouses, and those could lead to a lot of losses, and that's when the bulk discounts also come in. Of course, the e-commerce companies find various ways of turning those discounts, like Independence Day discounts, special festival day discount, but it is basically to clear their inventory that these kind of special schemes come in once in a while. And there can be situations where the extra money on the warehousing and the inventory have the losses because of higher purchases can in fact offset the amount of money saved from purchasing the products in huge volumes and conversion to sales as well. Of course, there are certain pros and cons of bulk shipment, which I have tried to put it here. So the highest potential for profitability, naturally, because of the bulk quantities that are being procured, the cost is naturally going to be low. So economies of scale is an advantage that bulk shipments will always have. Also, fewer shipments mean lower shipping costs. The bulk shipments typically work well for staple products with predictable demand and long shelf lives. But if the item is perishable, naturally bulk shipments will not work well. There is a high capital risk potential. Increased holding cost of storage is always going to be there, because the organization which purchases or procures in bulk will have to have sufficient warehousing facility to store that till the time it is sold or converted to the end product and sold. And also, if there are any major fluctuations in the demand, naturally, in case of bulk purchases, the company will find it extremely difficult to quickly adjust to the demand of some other product, and those could land the company in losses. So that is where another management technique, which we are all aware of, is the ABC inventory management. This is one of the most popular inventory management tool, which is used not only by the management of the company but also by us auditors. So typically when we do the inventory audits, we do focus on the ABC analysis of the inventory, and typically various inventory items are put into categories in the order of importance, and importance is decided based on the value of the product. So the most valuable will be categorized under A, and the least valuable will be categorized under C. That is the norm. The logic, of course, being that not all products are equal value, and more attention should be paid to the high value products. And although there are no hard and fast rules, ABC analysis typically leans on the annual consumption unit, the inventory value, and the cost significance of or the value of those inventory items. So typically any A category item is an item which is having a value of about 70-75% of the total inventory, but in terms of numbers, maybe it covers just 10-15% of the total units in terms of the quantity is concerned. B category has a moderate value, so it covers about 20-30% of the total inventory valuation, and about 20% in terms of numbers. And C is typically exactly the reverse of the A category. There is the items having value of about maybe 10-15%. But as far as numbers are concerned, they take care of 70% of the quantity in any inventory. So this is just a thumb rule. Industry to industry and company to company, these ratios could differ. But the concept remains the same, that you focus on high value items, and B and C category items, your focus can be secondary in nature, so that it tends to minimize the efforts that are put into the overall inventory management. So the advantages of ABC inventory management are listed over here, and naturally ABC aids in overall demand forecasting. It allows in better time management and resource allocation, since the focus is on A class items. You can do it in a shorter time and with the less amount of resources, and you have a better control over high cost items because of the focused approach that of the management, and naturally better control over the working capital, because if you focus on 10% in terms of quantity, which is going to take care of maybe 70% in terms of value, naturally the overall working capital requirement of the company can be reduced. Of course, there are certain disadvantages of following the ABC inventory management. And the first one being that you could tend to ignore products that are just starting to trend upwards. So since they are right now in the C category or B category, you are not focusing on them. And all of a sudden, the prime focus becomes those products, and you could stand to lose out. Also, the focus on values rather than volume, there could be chances of running out of class B or class C items, which also cannot be ignored. In certain cases, the ABC management technique also conflicts with the other inventory strategies that the company adopts. Next in the line is just in time. So we have in our curriculum also studied the JIT or the just in time. You all may be already aware that this is a concept that was developed and perfected within the Toyota manufacturing plant. And the father of JIT, Mr. Taichi Ono. So the concept is that Toyota had worked with a kind of a backward integration with all their suppliers. And what they had planned was that the material in their Toyota plants across the globe will be received just when it is required for production. So as and when it is received, it goes directly to production. There is no need for storing it in the raw material or the component warehouses. Of course, this concept does lower the volume of the overall inventory, but it also does focus on the quality of the inward coming material, because typically in India, any material which comes in is first quality tested, which cannot be done in case of a just-in-time kind of a scenario, because if it gets rejected at the quality stage, the entire production facility is going to be under pressure. The purpose of just-in-time is, of course, eliminating all sources of waste, including unnecessary inventory. And it is considered a risky technique because you only purchase inventory a few days before it is actually needed, or in fact, in case of Toyota, they did that on the day it was needed. And of course, it did help Toyota in saving the overall holding cost, and the overall it helped in becoming a very lean organization. But naturally, it does require the businesses to be highly agile with the and having capabilities to handle a much shorter production cycle. So, if you look at the pros and cons, okay, of course, before we come to the pros and cons of JIT, any company which is wanting to implement JIT, they have to ask some very difficult questions to themselves. And if they are confident about all those questions, only then they should think about the just-in-time inventory management technique. The first and foremost question is, are your suppliers reliable enough to get the products to the company on time? And it's not only on time, but it's on time and every time. So one failure is going to have a direct impact on your production. So they have to supply the products whenever you require, every time. Only then this concept is going to succeed. And it's not only about a single supplier, it has to be about all the major suppliers of your product. The second question could be that does your company have a thorough understanding of the customer demand, the sales cycles, the seasonal fluctuations? Because the production levels are going to differ because of all these things. And your input cycle supply chain has to be mapped against that. Same has to be the case with the overall order fulfillment system. of the production and the sales cycle also have to be mapped and synchronized with the supply of the material. And finally, even though this is a just-in-time methodology, finally your system has to offer a certain flexibility to update and manage stock levels on the fly, because certain last-minute issues are always bound to be there, and your system has to take care of that as well. Just to list out the major pros and cons of just-in-time concept, the lower inventory holding cost, improvement in the cash flow, less dead stock. So dead stock is basically non-moving inventory. Then the drawbacks will definitely include problems in fulfilling the orders, because if the production is going to get hampered because of any problem about the supply, then naturally you will not be able to fulfill the orders in time. Minimal room for errors is absolutely minimal, and there are always going to be risks for the stockouts in a just-in-time management of the inventory environment. Next in the line is a very different concept, which is not going to be applicable for all the companies. It is drop shipping or cross docking. So this concept, I will quickly explain you what drop shipping is all about. So basically, in case of drop shipping, a company can directly transfer the customer orders and shipment details to a manufacturer or a wholesaler, who then ships the goods directly to the customer. So basically, in this kind of a scenario, your organization is not going to be the manufacturer at all. So you are placing an order on someone and asking him to directly supply somewhere. So typically kind of a high sea sale. Of course, drop shipping eliminates the cost of holding the inventory altogether. And similar to drop shipping, cross docking is another concept wherein material is called in large trailer trucks or rail cars, and the material is unloaded directly into the outbound smaller trucks or trailers and dispatched directly without it coming to your plant. So this also requires typical high sea sale kind of a concept, and it will never work in case of a manufacturing setup. Drop shipping as well as cross docking, essentially it will mean that you need to move the goods from one transport vehicle directly onto the another with minimal or practically no warehousing, and you might need areas where inbound material are sorted and stored until the outbound shipments are completed. And naturally you will require an extensive fleet or network of transport vehicles for cross dock to really work. So the concept of drop shipping and cross docking is naturally not prevalent, especially in the manufacturing industry. It will work only in case of high sea sales or in case of wholesalers or retailer kind of environment. The next one is, of course, the pros and cons are quite evident in case of drop shipping and cross docking. And I think I can skip this slide. The inventory cycle counting is the next management technique. And typically the cycle counting involves counting of a small number of inventory items on a specific day on a continuous basis. So typically the cycle time goes on throughout the year, but every day you have a focused number of components or products to be counted. And you don't have to do an entire manual stock take, which could involve stoppage in the production. It's a kind of sampling that allows you to see how accurately your inventory records match up with that you actually have in the stock. So the ABC which we saw, that technique is normally used in case of the cycle counting as well, and typical inventory cycle counting program is drawn in such a manner that typically all the A class items are counted at least once every quarter, the B class at least once every 6 months, and the C class are counted maybe once in a year, so that each and every item is covered without disrupting the production process. Of course, this cycle counting is a very popular process or rather a popular inventory management process or technique in many companies, but it does have its own pros and cons, because naturally it is more time and cost efficient than doing a full stock take, and it can be done without disrupting the operations, but at the same time it is not as comprehensive as a full stock take, and especially in seasonal industries it will be difficult to implement this methodology, because the levels of stock will be extremely high during the peak season and extremely low when it's off season. So there are certain best practices that are followed by the industry for the overall inventory management, and so I will just elaborate some of the best practices which are being used by the industry. Of course, for any inventory management to be successful, the first and foremost thing which has to be kept in mind is the data sanctity. So unless and until the data that you are referring to is accurate, you cannot rely upon the overall inventory management, because majority of the decisions about the inventory are going to be taken based on the data. You are not going to physically verify the actual quantities each time you want to take any decision. So the data sanctity is of prime importance, and inventory management softwares are something which are available in the market. Of course, if the company has a ERP in place, naturally it is taken care by the ERP. But there are many softwares which specifically take care of only inventory management. So gone are the days when manual records were being maintained, that Cardex was for each item was maintained manually. So those days are now gone, and any kind of inventory management can succeed only with a solid IT backup and a good software. I will just touch upon various methods that are used by the companies for issuing of the material from the stores to the shop floors. There are 2-3 methods prevalent, and it depends on individual companies. One of a very prevalent method is backflushing. So in the ERP, what they do is bill of material is defined in the ERP, and the company ensures that the bill of material is as accurate as possible. So as and when a product is complete and the production is declared, based on the bill of material, using the backflushing methodology, material is directly consumed from WIP, or I have seen a few companies which consumes material directly from the raw material warehouses. Of course, backflushing methodology does have its own drawbacks, because in case there are any issues with the bill of material, naturally wrong material is going to get issued as against the actual material. Also, there can be several cases wherein real time, when you go about production, if one item is not available, there are alternate items which are used in the production process, which the backflushing concept does not take care of. Then there is something called as the packing list. So every day, depending upon the production program, the stores guys prepare a packing list, and the material which is required for each product into number of products that are going to be manufactured during the day is drawn out of the various racks, kept separately. A packing list for them is prepared, and the entire material is dispatched to the WIP on a daily basis. Of course, this can work only where the input materials are not too many, especially when the end product requires thousands of input raw material and components. This kind of a methodology can never work. Of course, I find that the best way of doing it is a requisition-based issue. So the WIP guys will raise a requisition on the store guys that following is the material that is required for me, and the issue will happen only based on the requisitions. This, according to me, is the best methodology for issuing of the material. But especially in case of high production levels, this may not be always possible, and there is always some kind of a resistance from the shop floor people to spend some additional time in raising those requisitions, and that is why companies adopt to the packing list concept or the backflushing concept in a major way. As a good practice, it's always good to maximize the overall inventory turnover. So inventory turnover is basically the cost of goods sold divided by the average inventory. So if your average inventory is, say, 1 crore, and the cost of goods sold in a year is, say, 100 crores, then naturally what it means is that you are churning your inventory 10 times during the year. And higher the inventory turnover, better it is, because then your inventory turnover cycles are much faster. And as I said in the first slide itself, inventory is basically cash in transit. So more the inventory turnover, more the cycles, and more frequently the cash is coming back to you. So maximizing the inventory turnover is one of the prime focuses of any industry, and it can increase the overall profitability and also help in setting up the right reordering points. ABC is something which we have already discussed at length. Automation is something which the most of the companies are now seriously going ahead and doing, because automating part of or the entire supply chain has a huge potential benefits in the form of freeing up your people, increasing the productivity, accuracy, and so on and so forth. So it's not only about having a good system to control your inventory, but the entire inventory management process also can be automated. So purchase orders can be released by the system automatically based on the reorder levels and the economic ordering quantities that can be set in the system. In fact, there was a study done by McKinsey, which predicts that automation, if done in the right way, could accelerate the productivity of the global economy by anything between 0.8% to 1.4% of the global GDP annually. So that is a huge number, and of course this is a McKinsey study based on certain assumptions, but nevertheless automation will definitely relieve a lot of pressure on the manpower as well, and the overall efficiencies will definitely increase. Especially in case of perishables, it is very important that individual batches and the expiry dates are tracked in a very religious manner, because only then the overall spoilage in the inventory can be avoided. Of course, it's not only about the raw material or the input material. In case of finished goods also, the batches which are expiring earlier have to be dispatched first, and specific batches, the overall control over the perishables has to be established if the batches and the expiry dates are tracked to the T. Of course, it is not only about the expiry or the perishable items. Even in case of items like, say, cars, just to give you an example, you might have seen news items several times that say Maruti Motors has recalled 10,000 Swift because of a faulty fuel pump. Now, how they were able to identify which 10,000 units to recall? That is possible only because they have a robust system of chassis control and the engine number control. So they know exactly which chassis number those faulty fuel pumps have been fitted with, and that is the only way they can recall all those vehicles and fit them with the right equipment. LIFO and FIFO are the two. I'm not talking about the inventory valuation as far as following the LIFO and FIFO concepts over here. Typically, any inventory management practice, the key is being intentional, disciplined, and organized approach that will work for the inventory management. And FIFO is a good concept to follow in case of perishables and in case of non-perishable items, or in case of items which have, say, a permanent shelf life. Many companies, in fact, adopt the LIFO. So whichever comes in the last is the first one to be dispatched. Simple reason being, you don't have to rearrange the shelf, because the item which has been received first is the last item in the shelf. So instead of bringing it in the front, they can keep on using the last received material, because there is no expiry date to those items. Especially in case of components or raw material, this method works perfectly all right. Of course, it has got, once again I state that this has got nothing to do with the inventory valuation. So inventory valuation, LIFO method is never used. It is only FIFO or weighted average rate which is used. And of course, managing the pipeline is equally important. Pipeline in the sense the material is still to be received, but I have placed the order, so a continuous follow-up with your suppliers is required, because any delays over there are directly going to impact your inventory management and of course the production. One point which I have listed out over here is the overall automation, and some of the benefits of automation are naturally focus on the growth instead of tedious day-to-day tasks. When you can automate the back order notifications, automation of order replenishment is possible with especially in case of multi-location inventory. Automated rule-based order routing can match the orders with stock in warehouses that are the closest to the customer. And if you have a robust system implemented, automatically, like I gave the example of Amazon or Flipkart, or for that matter, any e-commerce software will take care of this, and the nearest location supplies will happen from there. And it will it can also improve the overall customer experience, because a lot of mails can be automated, a lot of communication to the customer can be automated, and naturally it can increase the retention with the automated order confirmation emails. So for example, a customer, you might have noticed that you search something on Amazon, and you don't buy that product, you just come out of the site. On the same day you will be getting a mail, which is always an automated mail, that you are interested in buying a mobile. So here are a few options for you. Maybe you would like to revisit our site and have a look. So you go back to the site. Maybe this time you like some product, you purchase it. The moment you purchase, order confirmation comes on your mobile as well as on your mail, saying that thank you very much for your purchase. This is the product that has been purchased. This is the bill for that product, and we hope to deliver that product to you within the next 24 hours or 48 hours, whatever. And then there will be 2 or 3 more reminders that or the out for delivery SMS you must have got, that your product is likely to be delivered today between so and so to so and so. So that is the kind of automation which is possible. And as you grow and fine tune your inventory management strategy, it is essential to choose a system that can integrate multiple links in your supply chain, from pure stock control to shipping, e-commerce, logistics, accounting, and way beyond that as well. So the aim is to integrate and automate as many of your supply chain components as possible to improve the inventory accuracy, speed, and as well as the costs. So there are a few popular inventory management softwares in the market. Over here, I have not included this deliberately any ERP system which also takes care of the inventory management. But softwares like Ordoro, Delivered, InShelf, or Inventory Now are absolutely popular amongst for inventory management purposes. And as far as India is concerned, Zoho is coming up in a very big way, and so is QuickBooks, which are cloud-based accounting softwares. If you ask me, for the last maybe 20-30 years, Tally is one software which has simply dominated the Indian accounting space, and all the accountants have been continuously behind Tally for discounts and so on and so forth. But if you ask me, next 10 years belong to softwares like Zoho and QuickBooks. They are definitely going to disrupt the way accounting is done in India, especially for smaller organizations where end-to-end ERP may not be required. Simply because the biggest advantage with softwares which are cloud-based is that you can work on them from anywhere. You might have noticed due to the COVID-related lockdowns, especially those of you who could not visit the offices, your Tally is in the office. It's a licensed software, so you cannot take it out unless you move the entire machine out. So I have seen some cost accountants and chartered accountants physically taking the servers from their offices to their own residences because Tally was there. Whereas those who are already operating on, say, QuickBooks or Zoho, they were able to operate right from their residences without moving anything. All they had to ensure was that their residences had good internet connectivity. That's all. So next I come to the inventory management KPIs. So the key performance indicators, as you call it. And I will take you through maybe 4 or 5 major KPIs that most of the companies focus on. One which I already mentioned was the inventory turnover and the average days to sale inventory. So it's exactly the opposite formula for inventory turnover ratio and the average days to sale. In case of inventory turnover, you divide the cost of sale with the average inventory, so you know how many times the inventory is churning. And in case of the average days to sale inventory, what you do is you divide the average inventory by the cost of sale in a year and multiply that with 365, so you know the exact number of days of inventory. So higher the inventory turnover, better for the company, and lower the average days to sell inventory, the better it is for the company. It basically helps in identifying the underperforming sales lines or products. So even in case of manufacturing companies, you don't have a single formula for calculating average inventory or inventory turnover. As far as possible, these ratios are computed product wise or product family wise, so that you are able to identify the underperforming sales lines or product families, and you can plan the inventory storage capacity requirements as the business expands, because you know exactly how much your inventory turnover is. So where all increases are required in the overall storage capacities. And so overall planning of the space is also possible because of these continuous monitoring of these ratios. One more peculiar aspect is the inventory write-off. So typically what a company does is, as and when the physical verification of inventory happens, there are normally some shortages. So these shortages are written off by passing inventory adjustment notes. There can be situations where because of the technological obsolescence, certain inventory is required to be written off, or there can be cases of theft or damage as well. So in all these cases, normally it gets embedded into the cost of consumption. However, we always recommend all our clients that you should have a separate item in the trial balance where the inventory is written off should be separately accounted for and reported, so that you have a control over the overall inventory that has been written off. Otherwise, if you give a direct impact to the material cost itself, the value of the inventory write-off gets embedded in the overall consumption, and you cannot track it separately, neither can you control it separately. The last point in the KPI is naturally the holding cost, or which is popularly known as the carrying cost. So some of the examples of the holding cost are the storage facilities. So more the storage that is required for your products, the more the requirement of the warehouses. Naturally, if you have taken it on rentals, your rentals will increase. If you are invested there, your cost of capital is going to be there. The handling cost of the inventory, you need to insure the inventory. Also, there are going to be pilferages or breakages, obsolescence. Then you need to have a separate security for monitoring the inventory on a continuous basis. And of course, there is going to be a opportunity cost of capital. So all these costs put together are the carrying cost of that inventory. And as an organization, it is always good to have a minimum holding cost. So periodically, the management monitors this key performance indicator as to what my holding cost has been during the last quarter or last year, and measures are taken to control the holding cost. Of course, when we talk about the overall inventory management, there are areas which are or challenges in the overall inventory management which are in certain scenarios beyond the control of the management of the company. One is the supply chain complexity. So things can go wrong with the supplier. The supplier could face some challenges in the manufacturing. There can be issues in the transportation from the supplier end to your plant. There are cases, for example, in the COVID scenario, we have seen that a lot of supply which was coming, especially in the automobile sector, supply was coming in from China, and because of COVID-related restrictions, that supply suddenly stopped. And what happened was the overall production capabilities of the Indian manufacturers were hit because raw material and the components which were coming from China all of a sudden stopped. Same is the case even today, that there is a global shortage of chipsets for car manufacturers. So especially in case of those manufacturers which are dependent heavily on the chipsets, especially in the higher versions of the cars, which are now they term it like cockpit and software embedded with the car. So entire car is monitored continuously by the software. But because of the shortage of the chipsets, there is a serious problem in the manufacturing capabilities of these manufacturers. Then there could be poor production planning at the manufacturers end, and finally the entire inventory management is dependent upon the production planning and the execution. And if there are any challenges as far as the production capabilities of the manufacturer is concerned, it will naturally have an implication on the overall inventory levels. Then each industry has its own challenges. Just to give you a few examples, in case of a project industry, it depends on the terrain where that project is being executed. Typical challenges of that particular area, there could be certain political angles to that as well, especially for the project industry. Just a minute, I will just take a pause over here. I think no one is there in the office. I need to just take charge. Okay. There can be peculiar challenges to the pharma sector. We have seen a lot of disruptions in the pharma sector very recently. Power generation is another sector which has seen a lot of disruptions. We are slowly moving from the traditional fossil fuel based production of power to eco-friendly production in the form of wind energy and the solar energy. And then there could be challenges because of inadequate processes and software, and discipline is required for the success of any process and software which is lacking in some pockets of our industry, especially in the SME sector. So these challenges have to be overcome by the companies in order to ensure that the overall control over the inventory is maintained in the right manner. Now I will touch upon the inventory audits. So you are all aware that perpetual stock verification is something that every one of you must have done at some point or the other. So on a continuous basis, the stock verification is done on a periodic basis. That period can be daily basis in case of a cycle count, or a monthly basis, or it can be quarterly basis as well. So items are specifically selected at the time of each stock take, and physically they are verified to ensure that they are in line with the system stocks. Then there are surprise stock takes as well. It is very important to bring in some sort of a surprise to the stock taking exercise, for the simple reason that whenever there is a perpetual stock verification, the persons in the organization are already prepared, so they know exactly what stock is going to be verified. They normally do a pre-count of that stock. If at all there are certain variations, they would have already plugged in those gaps, but that chance is not there in case of a surprise stock check. And so surprise stock check can be on two levels. One is the time. So there can be a surprise stock check when no one is expecting it, and also in terms of the items. So in a perpetual stock verification exercise itself, there can be certain items selected which were not planned earlier, but at a last minute, those items are selected and verified. Then there can be another form of audit, which is an inventory management process audit. So the entire process of inventory management can be audited as a third-party auditors. The material movement can be tracked. Any loopholes in the material movement can be identified as a part of this audit. Of course, when I am talking about the inventory audits, and as I mentioned that all of us have already done inventory audits at some point of time, there are certain audit automations which are possible, which we have been using for the last few years. One of them is the QR code or the barcode scanner. Especially in case of e-commerce, you cannot do physical verification without these scanners, because the inventories are maintained in such a manner that you have to rely on the barcodes. We have used drones for verification in certain places, especially where there are large stockyards. And physically going there could be hazardous as well, especially in case of say storing of commodities in large numbers like coal or iron. We have conducted a audit of solar panels at a very large solar power generation station, where there were in excess of about 3 lakh individual solar panels. So that was possible in less than 1 day. Had we deployed physical manpower over there, it would have taken us days, if not months. But there are technologies available in the market. You don't, in fact, have to invest in those drones as well. You can take it on hire as well. And by just earmarking the area to be verified, the drone simply covers the entire area, and it is in the position to calculate the exact number of solar panels within that area. Yeah. आता कोण नाही आहे ना ऑफिस मध्ये? ठीक. Of course, there are several apps available in the market specifically for verification purposes. Some of them are listed over here. Is the stock count or stockpile, code read, Spiceworks, etc. In fact, these apps are now so advanced that you just point your mobile on the neatly arranged stock. For example, you want to count, say, pipes. Now, instead of counting individual pipe one by one, all you need to do is use these apps, point it to the pile of those pipes, and the app will give you the exact number of pipes which are lying in that pipe. So that kind of advanced apps are now available, and we should, as auditors, make use of that. it will definitely increase our efficiencies, and the audit can be completed much faster. As a last slide, what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch upon certain mathematical models for inventory system. Of course, very frankly, I found that these mathematical models are a bit theoretical, and practically they may not be very useful. That is why I've kept it at the last of the presentation, and I'm not going to give too much focus on that. Of course, this is published by IIM Ahmedabad, a research paper published by IIM Ahmedabad, and the model is basically there are three types of models. One is the probabilistic model. So probabilistic model estimates the demand for an item fluctuates and is specified in probabilistic terms. So when the demand is not stable, it is fluctuating, they allot a probability of that event happening, and they have worked out a model based on the probabilistic model. Then the deterministic model is a model wherein the demand rate for an item is assumed to be constant, and they have given some mathematical formulae for that also. And then there are time period models like single period models and the multi-period models. So typically orders are made only once in case of a single period model, and they are used for one-time ordering for seasonal products or spare part purchases. Whereas multi-period models are used for ordering multiple times over the entire production cycle. So I'm just giving the source of this. So it's a good research paper which maybe you can refer to as a academic interest. But very frankly, at least I have not seen these models actually being used in any of the industry so far. I have also not touched upon certain concepts because we are all aware of them. For example, the economic order quantity or the reorder level, the safety stock formula. So those kind of formulas I was specifically not covered in today's deliberations, because those are typically known to all of us, and we have already studied them in detail during our the course of our curriculum. So that's it from my side as far as the overall inventory management system is concerned. I'm happy to take any questions if at all they are there. Yeah, so someone has mentioned that Tally also has a ERP version which you can run on the cloud. So in just to share with you my experience, I've used that, and let me assure you, it is nowhere near to the softwares which I refer to, Zoho and QuickBooks. They are definitely far more superior as far as the cloud computing is concerned.
Good evening. I would like to ask a question.
Hi, yes, Mahesh.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. I would like to ask about the current scenario where this commodity prices are highly volatile. So, in this scenario, when the prices are very low, is it advisable to buy the inventory even if it is not required at that point of time? So, probably it may involve piling up to take advantage of the cost advantage.
So it depends on the management's perception. If you for example, it's not only about the cost of the input items, it's also about forex. You might have seen in various companies. So rates are booked for say 6 months in advance. So irrespective whatever the dollar rate is, I'm going to buy it only at this rate. Those kind of contracts are done with the bankers. So same contracts can also be made as far as suppliers are concerned, and typically it works based on the management perception. So if the management is confident that the prices of certain commodities are going to be increasing over the next few months, naturally they tend to buy in bulk because today the rates are on a lower side. Of course, your question is not exactly, the timing of your question is not exactly right, because as I understand, already all the especially the commodities, the prices are through the roof. They are higher than more than 50% over the last year. That level of inflation is there. But yes, that is a management call based on the management's perception whether to buy in bulk today. And of course, when that decision is taken, another aspect which also needs to be looked into is that if you are ordering for, say, next 6 months of your requirement, whether you have that kind of warehousing facilities with you, or you are going to end up in spending something extra on the warehousing. So all those parameters need to be taken into mind before taking this kind of a decision. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I was requesting the PPT presentation. So it's my normal practice that at the end of the session, I will be sharing the PPT with all the 3 chapters who are organizing this program. And that will be available to everybody who requests for that.
Yes, sir. I agree that post-COVID in the commodity prices, there has been an increase. When I said current scenario, I meant a scenario wherein the commodity prices have become very volatile over the last couple of years. So if you remember, the fuel prices, the crude oil prices, future prices had become negative actually at a point of time. So
Yes.
I'm referring to those kind of situations.
So what you say is absolutely right. So the management is always on the lookout for avenues where they can get their required items at a cheaper rate. Of course, the fuel prices being negative was just on paper. I don't think anyone has actually purchased it at that rate. And that was because of a very peculiar situation that there was practically zero offtake at that time. And the market was flush with tankers full of crude
Yes.
oil, and that is
Inventory
the
pile
reason
up
it
for
went
the
down.
supply side.
Yeah. So and it lasted for not more than 3-4 days when the price was actually negative.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, Jagdish Chandra Mistri ji, you have raised your hand. You wanted to ask something? Okay, so Seema madam is asking me whether there is any thumb rule. If the turnover is rupees 3 crores, then what should be the inventory? This is a very generalistic question, madam, because it will all depend on what is the product, what is the situation. Because especially in COVID-like situation, there have been instances where people were left with a lot of inventory but no orders. So naturally, the inventory levels were on a very high side. It also depends on what the product is. So just 3 crore turnover, what should be the standard inventory? There cannot be any standard answer for that. But as a thumb rule, you can consider that most of these, say, automobile or engineering kind of industries have a stock of about 30 to 40 days, and that stock includes raw material, components, WIP, as well as finished goods. But it depends on industry to industry. There can be thumb rules for individual industries, but even within individual industry, there can be a lot of variations.
I think I would like to ask one more question, sir.
Yes, sir.
See, as cost accountants, we have been asking for the cost accountant certification of inventory valuation. Now,
Okay.
the cost audit mechanism has given us an opportunity to value inventory, though not directly. So in a company where cost audit is applicable, now what happens is most of the cost auditors are endorsing whatever inventory value is mentioned in the financial statements. Actually, we are given an opportunity to evaluate the inventory valuation there, which probably many of us are not doing. Are we losing an opportunity there?
Yes, we are very much losing our opportunity because, see, finally, if you ask me, bluntly speaking, the profession is what its members are. So what the members want that profession to be, it's going to be that. Now, having got this opportunity, if there are a few members, it's not if, I know there are quite a few members who are going ahead with the financial inventory itself in the cost sheets. Whereas there is a specific requirement in the cost records in the annual reconciliation that any differences between the inventory as per the cost of production that is coming out of the cost sheets and what has been reported in the financials has to be reported separately. If we are not doing that, we are definitely losing our opportunity, I may say. So at least in majority of the cases, of course, especially in larger firms, I've seen that they are calculating the inventory based on the cost of production from the cost sheet and reporting it separately. But it works how much the industry is able to dominate the cost auditor, and so that factor is also there. But I think at least from our side, we should insist that it is the requirement that it is to be shown separately. So can I request the office bearers of the chapters that if I share the presentation to the three of you, you can disseminate it to all the attendees?
Yes, definitely.
Yes, sir, definitely. We'll do it, sir. We have copied down the list and we have recordings also. So we can send it to the email IDs who are
Correct. So I think a few email IDs they have already requested to send. So immediately after this session, I will send the copy to you. You can share it with everyone.
Sure, sir. Sure.
In fact, I don't mind you sharing it with those who are not attended also.
No problem.
Definitely, sir. We are just, if you permit, we will definitely share recording of this session also.
On YouTube, sir. On YouTube.
Because our this session is almost packed and the starting 10 minutes also. So I request many members would like to join. So I inform them with the permission of the faculty will definitely share the recordings.
In fact,
Yes,
Malhar, I had a suggestion for you. See,
Okay.
Initially when Nasik chapter guys talked to me,
Okay.
In fact, this session was to happen last month, but last month I had to travel in those days, and that is why I had requested them to postpone it.
Okay.
So this time when they said, I initially had given them Saturday, but then I realized that it was Ganpati, so attendance may be on a lower side. So I requested it to do it on a working day.
Okay.
And then after Ahmedabad chapter and Baroda chapter joined this session, in fact, when Pune chapter organizes any CEP, 100 is a minimum. So what they have done is they have subscribed for a higher version of Google Meet where 250 people are permitted. And the cost is not very high. In fact, if you are doing it jointly with multiple chapters, you can share the cost also.
Definitely we can think about it.
Next time we'll do it, sir.
Yeah.
Definitely, sir.
Sure.
Actually, we got a few messages also that we wanted to attend, but the session is not accepting our request.
Correct.
So definitely, and we'll broadcast this this particular recording on YouTube also.
YouTube, yeah. Please go ahead and do that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So if
Yes, sir. Means if there are no further questions and if the mailbox questions are also entertained by you, and we are very much thankful. Now I request Baroda chapter sir, Mihir Vyas sir, to please present the vote of thanks and so that we can proceed further to conclude the session, sir. Thank you. Mihir sir, over to you. Please continue.
Thank you,
Sir.
Sapnil bhai.
Mir, how is your new Jeep?
Yes, sir. Very much fine, sir. Very much fine. Driving experience is also very good, sir. Sir, आते हैं पुणे आते हैं.
आ जाओ लेके घूमने
Yes,
चलते हैं.
yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Before we start, there is one good news. On behalf of all the members, I congratulate CMA Nikhil Pawar, who is getting CMA Young Achiever Award. Many congratulations, Nikhil. Keep doing good work.
He is presently our secretary from Nasik chapter, sir. And a very vibrant personality. You may notice.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Achha, Mir, someone has rightly pointed out that normally we have the national anthem at the end as per
Yes.
institute protocol.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
after your vote of thanks, let
Sure,
us have
sir.
that. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Amit Appe, sir, it is my privilege to give vote of thanks to you. We are learning so many things from you, sir. Thank you, sir. On behalf of Ahmedabad, Baroda and Nasik chapter, I extend a really hearty vote of thanks to our today's speaker, CMA Amit Appe, sir, for accepting our invitation for webinar on inventory management. Today we had an opportunity to hear your thought and knowledge sharing. This will surely helpful to all the members. As a cost accountant, inventory management is a very important part in the industry member as well as practicing cost accountant. Sir, you have covered almost all the major points in this webinar, like inventory techniques, inventory portal with largest user touch point, inventory management practice, inventory management KPI, and inventory audit also. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation. Thank you, sir. Also, I would like to thank you, Nasik chapter, Ahmedabad chapter, for this joint program. Thanks a lot to CMA Sapnil Bhai, chairman of Nasik chapter, CMA Malhar Dalwadi, chairman of Ahmedabad chapter, and all the committee member of Nasik, Ahmedabad, and Baroda chapter. Now, the last, I would like to thank all the participants for attending this webinar. Thank you all.
Yeah, and as promised, I already shared the presentation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We will do the needful, sir. Yes.
Sapnil Bhai, can we start national anthem?